our last outing on Medved-Taiga was a ton of fun, so I thought, why not come back out here again, but with one major change to our loadout. Rather than carrying the 243 handgun, we've got the 45 from that new handgun DLC. I thought that would be a really cool weapon to try to take some musk deer with, maybe lynx if they show up, and I guess in theory, we could take wild boar with it too. I really don't intend to have that happen, but it could be a thing that we run into as we go along, so we'll probably try to get in range of this musk deer. This particular server does happen to be musk deer drink time. We are in multiplayer once again. It got us a piebald musk deer last time, and much like our quattro hunt recently, if it ain't broke, why fix it? One thing that maybe we do need to fix is our ability to see through the snow that's kind of just hanging in the air there. You know, that's a long way to shoot where we really can't see, but we did hit it. Hopefully it'll be into a lung. Maybe. If it is, it almost can't be. We've seen the 45 perform way better than that. I'm thinking it's a flesh hit that's just going to kill it kind of quick, and I will say one thing. That will not be something we attempt to do on a level 3 or a rare. There's a bit of blood there. Did we hit it in the intestines somehow? I guess that's just one of the potential risks of taking a nearly 100-meter shot with open sights, and open sights that aren't exactly designed for long shot. That's a pretty good sized front sight, but regardless, just a little can of musk deer to get us started, and like I said, any decent ones, potential diamonds or rares, we'll be getting a little closer. So just to practice this time in case we do get an opportunity, 50 meters at this level 2 musk deer, and ideally, even though we can't actually spot it, that shot we can make with the 45. And as we just kind of run up here, this is my favorite reload animation in the entire game, and I'm sure there will be plenty of hunts in the future where I do exactly this, just kind of have the reload animation going as we go to claim something, and just appreciate what is a really unique animation. Not really any other gun in the game has that much detail, but still ended up with a silver, just about 3 shy of gold. But that time, through a lung, through the liver, and into the stomach. So I think 50 meters will probably be the number, but I don't intend to only hunt musk deer today anyway. They just happen to be drinking, and I mean, they're out in such huge numbers now compared to in the past. It's worth checking the spots that they tend to frequent. Now that technically has a chance. Diamond for musk deer is 246 or 249, I think. So up to 250 would be barely but possible. Now that does of course mean we have a long way to crawl to get into 45 range, but I think it could potentially be worth it. So this was about the distance we practiced earlier, 55 meters give or take. And I think just because it's Medved, we are going to crouch up. There used to be an issue, and I really don't know if it's a thing anymore, where, particularly on the ice, which we are on this little frozen river, so I think it would still count as ice, prone shots often would just hit the ground in front of you, even though there wasn't anything to really block the shot, and obviously the animals would spook, and you'd have to track them down. So, crouching up to avoid an issue that I don't even know if exists anymore, but actually pretty low in that estimate, just a 209. Still worth trying to make sure we get the shot and everything. Diamond is 249, so it's really more so seemingly for rares and stuff that score right at the top of the estimate, but you get that happening every now and then still, and especially when it's a potential level 2 diamond, and naturally they're not going to score way above the diamond requirement. You see that just 1 or 2 above what's necessary, and it just, for me, it makes me think there could be a chance at it, so worth trying. These guys are all not all that big. It's almost moose drink time, so I'm looking forward to going and looking for them, but again, the musk deer are currently active, so we might as well keep going. Well, it's not exactly huge, but at least a little something different in a reindeer up here. We actually have the 303 today, so maybe a cool weapon to take that with. I think he's facing away from us. It's kind of hard to tell, but it honestly wouldn't have even mattered what direction he was facing. We kind of wanted to place the shot in the same area anyway, and it looked like, regardless of which way he was facing, we did end up getting a lung, and we are, by the way, now just reaching the end of musk deer drink time. Moose start to drink now, and I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing if we can find some of them. I think we did maybe a bit of moose hunting last time, but quite frankly, I don't remember much about where they were if we actually did. Regardless, though, reindeer down in probably 10 meters, something like that. Not a rare, unfortunately. I was maybe a little bit unsure shooting through the brush if it was definitely a common, but liver and lung, it was facing away from us, so that shot works out quite well. Still ends up being 40 shy of gold, though, so had a ways to go there. But hopefully we can encounter more things like that as we shift into a new drink time. That's not a bad looking moose, up to 287. And actually, I did remember, it was kind of in some of the same areas that we were encountering the musk deer last time that we found some moose drinking. So we'll have to kind of branch out a little bit and check some other areas. But down in here, like this lake right here, is one of the decent spots that we had found. So that guy is going down. I actually hadn't seen the health drop, and I was worrying a little bit that we maybe shot too low. But that'll be enough to get him down. Probably our best kill thus far. The one musk deer was decent, but I'd say this guy's a little better. That may be the oddest variation of this rack I've ever seen. Apparently a decent spot. I actually remember, now that I'm really thinking about it, last time we had like one level 2 moose here. Couple of pretty good sized level 4s this time. I'm looking forward to seeing how exactly that looks when we get up close. That is more so what we saw last time, though. A couple of things like this. I don't want to get too much hunting pressure. I don't know if the original host is still here, but never want to cause so much pressure that it is the leading zones, especially when it's not your map. So that one could be a potential Hall of Shamer. I'm pretty sure last time we actually didn't take that Hall of Shame moose to the lodge, so maybe that can be something we do at the end of this one, depending on how things go. But we now have 3 bulls down, 2 of which are quite solid. One is fairly normal, that being this guy. I think he's going to be 240s, 237 in fact. Little lower than I thought, but maybe just a particularly low scoring variation of the rack. Left lung at 180, and then the other one, I couldn't tell what exactly it was, but the rack was kind of shifted a little compared to normal. Not a very easy track either. He kind of went up and through the brush, but I can't tell if it's leaning back a bit. We'll see in the harvest screen, I think. It is just kind of leaning way backwards. If it rained, he would have a bunch of gallons of water laying in his rack, but 245 actually scored higher than the last one. Like, when you put them like that, the back of the palms is almost lower than the bases. That's a pretty cool looking moose, but anyway, almost, I don't know how we tracked it 800 meters. I don't think it was that long. Left lung at 190 for that one. I will go and get our potential Hall of Shamer down there, which hopefully at least will be easier to track. A much easier track this time for what is a much smaller moose. The last two were 237 and 245. This guy I think is going to be like maybe 60 something? Maybe. Might be even smaller than that. 62 in fact, and he is a bronze, which again is kind of like the marker for what I consider Hall of Shame animals. If you can get a bronze male of anything, that can be tough to accomplish, especially when it's 25 under the silver marker. So, I still don't know what you need for a level 1. It is possible a true X. I think we shot one or we saw one. Maybe we didn't end up shooting it, I'm not exactly sure. But one of these days, hopefully we can get a level 1 to toss in the Hall of Shame as well. But let's kind of see. I don't want to only hunt down here in the southeast because we've been there a good bit before. I think we checked here and there were moose, but we'll go in this area, maybe some of these other lakes too. All these spots are at least pretty decent, and again, compared to in the past, you didn't really get all that many moose in one area, and maybe there are other areas that are just like this. The way that it was before, they were all like kind of up along here for the most part, and I think it's good to see them down here at some of these lakes. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for them to be in a spot that makes it so difficult to hunt other things. When they're down here kind of in the center of the map by these lakes, you have that potential to run across them when targeting lynx or musk deer, reindeer, things like that. And I think it just makes it a little more fun to hunt the map as a whole, but I don't even know where he went. Pretty confident it was a long shot, but he disappeared. I must have just looked at the wrong moose running off, because he just cut straight up into the woods here. But another gold at 216. I really feel like this is the best moose hunting we've seen on Medved in years. Like, we never would get a lot of decent ones. It would be occasional level 3s that maybe have a chance at gold, a couple of decent 4s maybe. Basically back to back to back nice sized golds if you don't count the little one we shot for the Hall of Shame. kind of cool to see as well. Moose do utilize this lake too, which in the past was never a thing. I think we'll probably go ahead and get this level 3, and then we'll look on the map and show where it's at. So this was always a good reindeer lake and a good musk deer lake, and I think it still is, but moose clearly traveled out here as well. And we'll have to see like where other spots are on this map, not only for moose, but for all species, that maybe we wouldn't have expected to encounter them in the past. But we have a little bit more time, so we'll probably try to get to 1 or 2 more spots. I don't even know where, but that's kind of the thing at the moment. It could be literally anywhere. We're not kind of pigeonholed into only checking some spots, because at the moment, we don't know for sure, or I don't know for sure anyway, where the moose might be. But as a low estimate level 3, he's guaranteed to be a silver, just a 152, double lung at 133 meters, and I'm not even sure where to go. We'll just jump to a spot and see what happens. And we've got another pretty good one. Now that is a rack that could make diamond, I think, even as a level 4. Diamond, I think, is 274.9. He's got those big brows. Maybe he could. I don't know. I feel like there's a chance there. So what I actually was wanting to do was go and check this hidden lake back here. We went here earlier for musk deer, I guess, and there wasn't much of anything good, so didn't even show in the video going down there. Just happening to pass through this little spot, which I think was the location of our first moose kill in that previous video, and there was a really good one. If there's one rack that, as a level 4 moose, I'll see posted maybe most often making diamond, it's probably that one. Looks to be the light brown fur type, I think, as well. Definitely one of my favorites, kind of that grayish color. It's a cool rack regardless. Let's see. Ooh, close. 268.31. Would it need to be another 6 score higher, roughly? It's 274.99. What an odd number to go for, but that's a nice looking moose. 585 back in the day would have been potentially a level 5, but often a troll. I like the look of that though. And while there are some moose here, I don't see any bulls. I did though see that guy go running down there, so if we can, maybe a chance for a 45 kill. Probably not likely to be one that we can hit well, but can try to hit him twice at least. I keep trying to aim high and it's just like not necessary. We also have no breath and keep drifting upwards. Did that shot actually end up hitting him decent? It is taking him down. And that is lung blood. And we could have had a much better shot angle. I switched to the 303, I think, by accident first. Not half bad. We did that too. I think it was on the first hunt with this, chasing wolves over on Yukon. Like a 75 meter on the trot shot, and just, for whatever reason, we've been able to line up shots like that just kind of intuitively, not having to worry about being super precise or anything like that, and it just works, which is pretty cool. Ended up hitting him intestine, stomach, liver, so could have been a little further forward. 63 meter shot on the move though, not too bad. And I think on that note, we'll jump back to the Hall of Shame and get those 2 level 2 moose put up. And just to compare, we had last time a 63.3 and today a 62.7, so we kind of improved. I like putting them like this because it just really highlights how pathetically tiny they are, but we've actually made a number of Hall of Shame moose editions lately. We had the kind of wonky one, I don't even know off what map anymore, maybe Layton, out here kind of at the entrance of the lodge, and then of course those 2, but I'm pretty sure those were lower scored, and we can find out very quickly. Yeah, this guy was 115, but when we put him in the skull plate, almost everything is behind it. It's such a droopy rack. But anyway, no trophies today from Medved. Little Hall of Shame edition at least, and got to learn a little bit more about that map. I'm realizing, you know, as we get into November now, we've spent so much time with the Black Bear grind and the Reventuli single player diamond challenge that we haven't hunted that much of some of these other maps, and quite frankly, it's made it really fun to get to explore them now as almost new feeling maps, this much longer after the last map, and we can assume probably this close to a new map coming out. But anyway, that's officially going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.